We are back. We are back. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of League One on the Rocks. My name is Rich. You can find me on Twitter at I'm Rich, but I'm not. Joined, as always, by the man who will also be rooting for his team in midweek European matches next season. You can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace. Brian, how are you, man?
Oh, doing a lot better. I mean, Jurgen Klopp is going to be leaving Liverpool, so that's a little bit of a heartbreaker. But um, man, not too bad. It's good to be back. I know I had quite a bit of personal stuff going on. Couldn't make the show. Couldn't make the show work, which I'm not happy about. But here we are. We're back. We are, dare I say, better than ever.
Yes, we are. Look, life comes first, man. So it's not a big deal that um, you got to take care of that kind of stuff. We're happy to have you back, though. I mean, it's awesome to get back in the swing of things and be able to sit here and talk about League One action. We got a lot coming at you today.
Yes.
Well, before we get going, what are you drinking?
I have, jeez, I have water, and as you can kind of tell by my voice, I was in Des Moines at the Sleep Token concert 2 nights ago, so I did quite a bit of drinking that night. So I'm gonna pace myself a little bit, but everybody, no need to worry. I will eventually get back on the train for you guys, and maybe reviewing some beers now too, like Rich usually does.
Yeah, I'm going to take it easy tonight, too. Backstory. So, you were traveling to Des Moines. I was traveling to North Carolina with the W League team. And we were supposed to kick off at 5:45 to try to avoid some storms. Well, they came in and started pushing delays. We ended up kicking off. We took the field at 8:45, didn't kick off until about 9:30, and we didn't get back here to Statesboro until probably 5 o'clock. And then when the buses park, you gotta unload the bus. You gotta load up the locker room with everything that was on the bus. So I didn't get home till 6. I probably wasn't asleep till 6:30 this morning. So slept quite a bit today, and um, I would I was awake for a few hours over the lunch hour, but went right back to bed. And I've only been awake for a couple hours. So
Man, what a
I'm going
trooper,
with water. I'm not going to wake up and go straight to the booze, even though
right?
I've done that in the past, but not today.
Oh, and it's good to see everybody back in the chat too. We got Enrique coming back and Michael as well. Lexington is so back. Lexington's playing well. Um, and Enrique also saying, "I hope your mediocre car is running." It is. It is running. Thank you. Um, so yeah, it's like I said, it's been a crazy few weeks, but here we are.
Enrique, props for the mediocre reference there. That was good too. I like that.
It is very good.
Well, we got a lot of news to go over. We're not going to go over all the stuff that we've missed over the past few weeks. We're going to go over just the stuff that's happened in the past week, and we have stuff even just within the past couple hours that we're going to be throwing into these updates that I didn't even put in the outline. So
Oh yeah.
we have a lot to discuss here. To start off with, we had announcement straight from league headquarters saying on June 15th, Ford Madison is going to be hosting Tormenta FC, and that one's going to be on national television on ESPN2. So that's exciting.
Yes, always great to see
Yeah.
uh, matches on national television. I mean, this is the dream, and this is how this league is going to grow. Um,
Yep.
and it just so happens that this is going to be a very good match. I have a feeling as well.
Yeah. I wish I could make it out to Madison that weekend, but I've got plans already in place, so I won't be able there. But I I did go to Madison earlier this season when I went to the Henny Derby and had an absolute blast. Um, Bree Stevens was rocking that night. It was a back and forth match between the two teams. Got to see a bunch of friends. Got to see Rob from Talking Flock. Got to see Kyle from Talking Flock. I mean, it was an absolutely just such a fun evening. Always a fun time to be had in Madison. Love that city.
Still got to make it up there, man.
Yeah, you do, man. It's a fun time. Um, do you remember when Union Omaha made their national debut? It was against Greenville,
Yeah, well, it
and
was in Greenville, wasn't it?
it was, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
so
it
cool.
finished with a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, yep.
That was a fun one.
Not great for optics. for new fans coming in, but still, it was still a good match.
Well, Union Omaha, didn't they have a goal in that match that made SportsCenter top 10 because it was like an absolute rocket, like volley from outside the box?
Yeah, I think so. I couldn't
Yeah, I
remember
can't remember
where.
who it was, but I seem to recall that kind of a goal happening during that match.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, anyways, this is going to be Forward Madison's debut on national television. Tormenta has been on national television back when they played in the 2022 USL League One final,
Hmm.
when they won that night as well. So it'll be exciting for Forward Madison fans. Hopefully, Bree Stevens Field is just packed that night. I have no doubt it will be, but you always want to hope just in case.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I have
then,
no doubts.
yeah, and then Texoma FC named their inaugural sporting director. It's going to be the former Luton Town head of coaching and player development, Adrian Forbes. That's a big, big signing. That's cool.
Yeah. Anytime you get somebody with that pedigree attached to their name, it just draws more eyes and more attention to your league and more credibility to your league. So
Yeah,
another great signing, and obviously Texoma is serious about coming in. So
they
I mean,
really
we
are.
probably already knew that, but this just kind of cements that.
Yeah, and it's great to see them bringing in somebody like Adrian Forbes because I went back and did some, I don't know, I don't want to call it stalking, but I went back and read through his experience and saw some of his interviews and everything. Seems like a genuinely nice guy too.
Yeah, that's always good, man. I mean,
Yeah,
we've seen that with a lot of either coaches or sporting directors or GMs. I don't think we have talked to one yet that hasn't been an awesome person as well.
yeah. I would love to extend an invite out to him and get him on the show to talk about experiences and all the stuff that he's doing to get Texoma FC up and running for next season. That's gonna be fun.
Oh, for sure.
And speaking of next season, we have Westchester SC, who's going to be a League One franchise. They're going to be kicking off next season as well. They're going to be playing in Mount Vernon, New York.
Hmm. Yeah, we thought we were losing New York in League One, but no,
Yeah,
Westchester comes in to save the day. So now people that were planning away days to Brooklyn can plan away days to Mount Vernon. So,
there you go. Beautiful country there too.
for sure.
So with Westchester and Texoma, those are just a couple of the names that are going to be joining League One next season. I think we're going to be close to what, 7 expansion sides, so we could be upwards of 19 clubs in League One next season.
Hmm. Which would
That's
be great.
crazy.
I mean, we really need it. You look at what championship is doing with what 32 teams now. I mean, it insane. Um, and honestly, the more teams we can get into League One, if we keep the playoffs at 8, I think that is a safe number. I'd probably actually like to see it drop back to 6, but 8 with 19 teams that's no joke. That's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. I'd be okay with 8 with 19 teams, but like you, I think I would like to make it, see it go back to 6, just to have that intense fight to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think 8 still brings that competitive drive as well, but if you tighten it up to 6, man, you really make the battle tight to get into the playoffs there.
Well, especially with how the middle of the table has been for running on 6 years now, there
Yeah,
hasn't really been a whole lot of. I mean, there's been a ton of really great battles in that zone, that playoff line over the past few years, especially. So perfect.
yeah. I mean, Tormenta missing out by a single point last season. What was it, Northern Colorado the season before? Like
Hmm.
just missing.
Just barely. Yep.
Just crazy to see the battles that are happening in those spots. But gotta love to see the drama and the chaos too. That's what we've come to love and expect from League One.
Hmm. That is no
And
joke.
and then we also did get some news recently out of league headquarters as well that coach of the month for April is going to be Mike Jeffries out of Charlotte,
Hmm.
and the player of the month from April is going to be Papa Mensa from Chattanooga. So congrats to both of those guys.
Yeah.
Mensa's tearing it up in Chattanooga.
Hmm.
And Jeffries obviously is doing a great job there in Charlotte as well. Charlotte is, man, we were expecting them to have a heavy veteran presence and um, to still be in that playoff race, but to be, I mean, right now they're in third place.
Yep.
And I think you and I in our preseason, we both had them what, like fourth, fifth
Yeah,
ish.
somewhere in there.
But once again, they are a team of stability.
Yeah.
And with everything else that's happening with the teams that are jumping up and down and everything, this is a team that's just riding it out week to week,
Hmm.
constantly up in that race. They're keeping it real close.
It's exactly what they
So
did last season.
exactly,
They are not the sexy pick, but they are the consistent pick.
yeah, yeah. So since you're a basketball guy, who would
Hmm.
you draw the equivalent to?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a tough one. Put me on the spot. A consistent. Oh man, I don't know. Let me hold on. As soon as I see names, it's gonna come to me. Give me 1 second.
and while you're doing that, so the player of the month there. So even on the coach of the month, the discussion for who it should be for April, that's a tough choice because there have been some good coaching, um, performances. If you look at Rick Wright out of Greenville, you look. I mean Dominic Casciato in Omaha,
Hmm.
Mike Jeffries there. So I mean there have been some genuinely good performances from coaches throughout League One. And then if you look at Player of the Month, there's a whole embarrassment of riches there across the league for players to be nominated for that one as well. So it's
Hmm.
really cool to see these guys being picked out of the bunch for that stuff.
Yeah. And going back to your other one, I would say they were like the New York Knicks. They're not the super sexy pick, but they are consistent.
Knicks. Okay. All right. I put you on the spot, so good job with that one.
It happens.
Well, we also had news coming out of this is from Spokane. So USL Championship Hartford FC's goalkeeper Brooks Thompson is going to be joining Spokane Velocity on loan for the rest of the season. If you recognize that name, there's a reason for that. It's because he was with North Carolina FC last season. He was a big part of that club and their championship winning season.
Hmm.
So it's good to see him back in League One. Um, and this news comes after the information came out that Peter Swinkles decided to retire. So obviously, best of luck with everything for him. I know that's a tough decision to make, but if he feels that's the best decision for him, his life, and where he wants to go, then absolutely got to support him and wish him the best of luck.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and at the same time, you got to be happy that it didn't come as a result of any injury too. Like if he was able to have the peace of mind to make that decision on his own, all the better.
Yeah, that is the best way to go out is under your own terms and not being
Yeah,
forced out for sure.
yeah. And then we spoke a little bit about the upcoming clubs joining League One next season. We have another club who just had some news announced recently. Antelope Valley announced that Brian Kleeman is going to be their inaugural head coach for their men's professional team. He holds a U.S. Soccer Senior A license. He also served as the head coach for Chivas USA, LA Galaxy, LAFC, as well as their SoCal Youth Academy teams. Um, and then Antelope Valley kicks off next season, and they're going to be playing at Lancaster Municipal Stadium, which has a 5,300 seat capacity, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I hope they sell out every single one of those seats too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's gonna be um, a great team, a great place to go visit on an away
Yeah,
day. So, I mean, all the better, and just another team joining the league next season. So, perfect.
yeah. I don't know a whole lot about. I haven't had a whole lot of time to look um, into Brian Cleveland, but I'm interested to see a little bit more about his like resume, where he's been, his experience, and all that kind of stuff. Because I honestly, I didn't, I don't. This is not an insult against him. I just don't know anything about him.
Yeah,
So
a little
I
bit of
got to look
research.
into.
Yeah.
Yeah, time to do some research. And this is a really cool bit of news, also out of league headquarters. The USL has launched a platform prioritizing mental health and wellness for players, coaches, and staff. So if you combine this with the fact that Ford Madison just released a kit that was supporting mental health and general wellness and all that kind of stuff, it's great to see all of this kind of stuff happening, especially in the month of May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mm,
So I love the fact that these kinds of resources are being made available to players, coaches, and staff. Um, it wasn't this was something that the league has provided. It wasn't something that has been maybe it has been and I didn't know it, but maybe it wasn't something that the players were clamoring for, like begging for in their union negotiations with the league. This is something that the league has been on the forefront of and provided to everybody, which I think is a great idea.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it is something that doesn't get talked about enough. That I mean, obviously, there's a ton of resources out there, and um, a ton of people just willing to listen. I mean, I can speak for myself and say that if there's anybody out there just does need a little something, just my DMs are always open. So, um, or if you know me in person, obviously, if you're in Nebraska, you also know where to find me too. But yeah, DMs are always open, and it's always okay to get out there and find the help that you deserve. So
Yep. I always emphasize the three H's. If you want help, if you want to be heard, or if you just want a hug, you know where to find me. So come find me. Like you said, my DMs are also open. So um, don't be afraid to reach out. Look, we just got to be kind. We got to make sure that everyone is okay. Don't be afraid to support each other. Be there for each other. And as well as we're encouraging you to look out for each other, we got to look out for ourselves and know that it's okay to reach out for help. Don't be afraid to.
for sure.
All right. We got anything else in the live chat at the moment?
Oh, live chat. Yeah, we've got Enrique saying, especially if the Owls move up as far as championship teams. Um, Antelope Valley did announce their coach, Michael. We did touch on that a little bit. And Enrique, Boise is a good place for a team. Yeah, I'm sure the USL has looked at Boise. They,
Yeah,
especially teams that can compete, that town seems to really uh, latch on to teams that come out and put on a good show. So
they do.
not bad.
Yep.
If anybody from the league office is listening and they haven't looked into Boise, you can write that check to Enrique. I'm sure he would take that. And Enrique saying he's going to hug Brian when he comes to Spokane on September 4th. Oh,
You gonna go?
no, that's the day before my son's birthday. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely can't do that then.
unfortunately, yeah, I will not be able to make that unless I can talk him into wanting to go to Spokane. Maybe I'll try to plant those seeds right now.
I thought Enrique had some insider news here, and we were going to be breaking it here on the podcast.
No, unfortunately, not. I don't think I'm making that trip, but I will not say never, or I will not say a hard no on that. Obviously, if I can make it happen, I would love to.
Yeah, I want to go to Spokane sometime too. But another good question about your travel arrangements: are you coming to Statesboro in October?
That one's a little bit further out. That one
It
has
is.
a higher chance. I don't have birthdays in October, like big milestone birthdays or anything like that. So we'll have to see. Like I said, we'll plan it out, and maybe I'll get in contact with you and Darren, and we can figure something out.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I know there's potential for several other Union Omaha fans coming down uh, that same match, so it's going to be a real fun one to see.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. I do need to get to some away matches, so I'm gonna try a little bit harder to make that happen. And the season is still young, still very young, so
To start off with, though, you got to go to Madison.
I
If
do
you're going to
need to get to
start
Madison.
with the road match, you want to go to a place like Madison. That's a
Yeah,
fun place to go.
6 hour drive. You know,
Yeah.
Luke Martin coming in saying nowhere better in October than Statesboro. Believe it,
Just
I have to
saying.
come. Got to come check it out. Got to make it happen.
All right, we also had some international call-ups from League One players. Lexington's Yannick Yankum has been called up to the. I'm sorry, Yannick Yankum has been called up to the Malta national team ahead of a pair of international friendlies. This is in preparation for the UEFA Nations League, which is set to kick off in September, and he is the first active UEFA international player in League One. I
Yes,
did not know that. That is really cool.
I love it.
Yeah. So he will be playing for Malta, and they're going to be playing against the Czech Republic and Greece. And in doing so, he's only going to miss one Lexington match, which is going to be their June 8th Barrel Brawl Derby in the Jägermeister Cup.
That's tough. That's always a tough one to miss, but obviously,
Yeah.
getting called up to your national team is a huge, huge deal. And
Yep.
good for him, man. He definitely deserves it.
Yeah. And speaking of international call-ups, this one just announced earlier today from One Knox. So Shooty Innocent has been called up to represent the Rwanda national team for their World Cup qualifiers.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And for
That's
the
really cool.
qualifiers, that's big time too. That's
Yeah.
another big, really big one. So good on these guys, man.
Yeah.
The league's continuing to grow, and this only helps the cause. I love it.
Yeah. All right. So now we can get into some of the recaps and previews and debates and all that kind of stuff. So for the Jägermeister second round, we had everybody playing.
Woo.
Only two road teams won. I think every single other home team won.
Mm-hmm. And we only
So
had one
Madison,
going to PKs as well.
yeah, one going to PKs. Dude, we have had so many of these Jägermeister Cup matches going to PKs. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So we
that's
had Madison
weird.
beating Charlotte 2-1. Northern Colorado embracing uh, the high goal scoring mentality that the Jägermeister Cup was supposed to be bringing along. They decided to knock out One Knox 5-1.
Oof.
And then Greenville and Triumph, or sorry, Greenville and Tormenta went 3-2 in favor of Greenville. Lexington and Fuego had a draw at 2-2 at the end of regulation. Lexington won on PKs 4-1.
Yeah, not a not a bunch of great PKs from
Wow.
Fuego. But give credit where credit's due. Fuego played down a man for what would be that 82 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to even come out of that and take it to PKs is a huge, huge deal.
Mm-hmm. And Chattanooga took down Richmond 1-0, and then Spokane beat Union Omaha 3-2. That was a good one to watch. That was fun.
Yeah, that one had the goals. And unfortunately for the team that I support, they were on the losing end of it. But credit to Spokane in that match. They kept coming. They knew Omaha's legs were tired, and they they were not giving up on it. So,
Yeah.
but I would argue, for me personally, the most entertaining match overall was Chattanooga and Richmond. Not because of a
Yeah.
high score, but the amount of shots and well taken saves in that match were incredible.
Mm. I was in Greenville for this match night, and so I got to see Jamie Smith
Oh,
putting on a show against my beloved Tormenta. It
mm-hmm.
was not fun to watch, but I will say this: the goals that were scored on both ends of the field were really good goals.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, so even despite the fact that Jamie Smith had, you know, a career night that night, for both teams to be scoring and performing the way they did, that was a fun one to watch. I thought we were going to PKs, but nope,
Yeah,
just couldn't happen.
I kind of had that same feeling watching that match. Just just insane that these Jaeger Cup matches. I think we're gonna see more of these because it's not your regular league matches.
Yeah,
So teams are a little bit more, and players are a little bit more okay with taking these crazy shots and doing these things they wouldn't usually do in league play because they have they have that tiebreaker of the most goals scored gets the fourth spot. So I think it's doing exactly what the league wants it to do. It's these 2 rounds have been exciting all the way around. The first match week was filled with PKs, which I'm sure they loved, and this match week was filled with amazing shots, amazing saves, a team tying another team playing down a man for the majority of the match. Just insane. And then you see a 6-goal thriller between Northern Colorado and Knoxville. Who would have saw that coming? You know, who in their right mind saw Knoxville playing Northern Colorado and said, "Yeah, I bet there's 6 goals scored in that one." Not me. I'll tell you that.
So Northern Colorado has played 4 times in the regular season. They currently have a -3 goal differential, but they saved all their scoring for this one night in round 2 of the Jägermeister Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So props
And
to them. Hey, gotta score when you can. They
right.
found plenty of ways to score that night.
And on top of that, too, they are in first place for the West Group.
They are, yeah.
So the team with the biggest goals for lead is Northern Colorado with 7. The next closest is Spokane with 4. Weird. Just weird.
And the other group leaders out of the central group, we have Lexington, and from the east, we have Greenville. So 2 are going to be coming out of the west at this moment in time.
Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody would have picked that if we had first said it, but here we are. This is what we love. League One chaos in the Jägermeister Cup.
Yeah. I think I had 2 coming out of the central.
Yeah, I probably would have called that one as well.
I think that was my prediction.
I mean, it's fair. And I mean, we're still super young in this, but as of right now, that's how it looks.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Rich, what is your biggest shock for the Jägermeister Cup standings as they sit right now?
The way the clubs have embraced the cup.
Mm-hmm.
Not from the standpoint of how many goals they're scoring, because obviously these are, for the most part, very close matches. But the fact that, like you just alluded to, with teams trying something new, trying something different, that brings a whole new flavor of chaos to League One. And we've been comfortable with this level of chaos, but then you throw in Jägermeister and this goals for, as well as another trophy to win. And
Mm-hmm.
teams are going for it.
Yep.
They really are. And it's great to see them getting so competitive over this cup, because if they didn't buy into it, you would see more decisive wins. And you would see teams like, oh, well, whatever. We don't really care about the cup. We're just going to, play players we may not normally play. We're going to look for putting more emphasis on the regular season. But you're not. You're seeing these teams fully commit, throwing in regular starters for the cup. And you're seeing these kind of results. And this is great to see. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's not even just that. You can tell watching these matches that the fans have kind of embraced it, and you can tell that the players have embraced it just by some of the celebrations we've seen. I mean, was it Jamie Smith for Greenville that grabbed the Jaeger bottle in the first match week, and was pretending to chug it on the sideline? Like, that is the only stuff that you get in this goofy ass Jägermeister competition that we have. I mean, that's on par with like the Carabao Cup over in Europe. I mean, an energy drink supplier. This is their cup, and we have a I don't even want to say black licorice flavored, because it doesn't really taste like black licorice. It's Jägermeister. There's no substitute for that flavor. So insane that we have a cup like this that we can embrace, and all the players seem to really be embracing the kind of goofy nature of the cup as well.
So let me throw a question back at you then, because with this iteration of the Jägermeister Cup, we have purely League One teams.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the League One headquarters has been very open and very blatant in saying that next season they do not just want there to be League One clubs. They're going to be opening discussions to include other teams, other clubs. How do you think that's going to change the competition? How do you think that's going to, I don't, man, there's so many avenues to discuss here, but just to start off with, how do you think it's going to change the cup?
Um, I mean, if I just spitballing off the top of my head, I don't think all championship teams are gonna be in it. I think there'll probably be quite a few that opt out of it. Um, and I mean, that also has to do with, I mean, can you imagine how many match days you would have to have if you had all of League One with 19 teams in it, potentially, plus another 32 in championship? Like, that is a ton of teams. How do you figure out who moves forward in that competition? Or do you completely change it up and go with group stages and then knockout rounds? Maybe a smaller group than even four, maybe a three group. Um, but either way, however they do it, I think it's definitely going to change a little bit. But I have a feeling that if and when championship teams come in, they're going to take it as seriously as League One teams are.
Yeah.
Especially with all the commotion that was made of the U.S. Open Cup and what that meant to lower division sides. I feel like it would be a little hypocritical of some teams to not want to take this newer cup competition seriously as well, especially when it is giving League One and potentially maybe League Two sides a chance at beating the top division in your league. So, I mean, I hope it's going to be taken well, and I think it will. But it's definitely going to be fun, no matter what. I think, especially if Jägermeister stays on board as the sponsor. I mean, the branding, the marketing of this thing has been great so far, and like I said before, I mean, week one, you have players grabbing the signs to fake chug them on the field. So it's no turbo
Well,
beer chug or maple syrup chug at the end of a match, but it'll do.
all right, so I'm really glad that you brought up the Open Cup. So let's talk in hypotheticals here. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say that all of the discontent over the Open Cup this season carries over to next season, and USL decides not to take part in the Open Cup. Do you, at that point, do you think all the championship clubs would join in on the Jägermeister Cup?
I think they would have a more of an opportunity to. Um, I hate it's become a buzzword, but it actually makes sense in this context. But schedule congestion, and for this, if you have 50 teams in it, and you're playing Open Cup, and you're playing your league schedule, that's a lot of matches.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not going to beat the drum of schedule congestion this, schedule congestion that, but I mean, it would get tight, but these guys are professional athletes. Maybe you do see more rotation then until you hit the knockout stages. And maybe it is more similar to what you see in England for like the Carabao Cup, where you bring the majority of your academy players. And this is also pending League One teams, especially getting academy programs up and running. I mean, it could be a great place to showcase that until you get into the latter stages. So there's a lot of stuff. It's definitely going to be a free flowing kind of tournament as it gets older. But I think they did it right for this first iteration, and I can't wait to see what kind of comes of when they have an entire off season to dream up all this stuff that people like us dream of during the season because we're not in the league office trying to run an entire league.
Yeah. Okay. So if you were in the league office and you did have a say over how the Jägermeister Cup operated,
Mhm.
would you open it up to teams outside of the USL? Again, going off the hypothetical situation that maybe the U.S. Open Cup sort of dissolves to erode away from its current status,
Mhm.
would you try to preserve some sort of competitive atmosphere similar to the Open Cup and invite some of those outside leagues, outside clubs into the competition?
Yeah, I think if the Open Cup goes away, I think that would be a terrific thing to. I wouldn't say because you're never going to replace the Open Cup, so I don't want to use the words replace. Um, but maybe in lieu of the Open Cup, because of whatever the reason for the Open Cup going away would be, um, yeah, it could be cool to see other teams in it. Um, I don't know the logistics of that and how you balance amateur sides and semi-professional with fully professional teams, but that's something that definitely could be hashed out if the Open Cup were to go away. Which, for the record, I hope never happens. But
Yeah,
if it does, this could be a good replacement for it for sure.
yeah. Well, there's going to be some busy summer meetings and winter meetings among the owners and front office executives for each of the clubs in USL later this season and in the off season. And you have to believe that's going to be a heavy component of those meetings. But it'll be interesting to see what comes out of those meetings. Speaking of the Open Cup, we had some big matchups in the round of 32. We had Charlotte losing to Atlanta United, and then we had Tormenta losing to Charleston Battery on a last second goal. Like in, so you had two periods of extra time and then stoppage time. They scored stoppage like right as the final whistle was going to be blowing. It was, man, so disappointing, but um, so happy for the guys. They battled that one out. Like
Oh yeah,
that was a good one to watch.
looked good doing it too.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Charleston has a really nice facility too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool place. And when I was talking to some of the people who work for the club, they said that it hadn't always looked that way either. They had to put some investment into it to dress it up and make it what it has become today. That's a cool facility to be at.
That's good. I love that. The
Yeah,
more investment you make in the team and the comfort of fans and the quality of your product, the better it's going to come out in the end. So
yeah,
love to see that.
yeah. I was so before kickoff, right as the gates open, I went over to the concession stand because I wanted something in my belly before we got kickoff going. And as I'm standing in line to get a burger, you could smell the water. Like you, Charlotte is right. It's a city right next to the water,
Mm.
and where the stadium was at, I mean, it's virtually a stone's throw from the water too. And so you could like with the wind, the way that it was blowing, you could smell the water. It was just son of a like, oh man, I just love
Love it.
the smell and the gentle breeze coming off the water like that. It's just such a cool feeling. Unfamiliar, but I really like it a lot.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
but then you had a highlight evening yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Union Omaha going into half up 1-0. Great feeling. I think I lost my voice on that first goal alone. Um, and then I was actually busy. I went to the bathroom at halftime and caught Eddie Gordon waiting in line. He was right in front of me, so I sat and chatted with him for a minute. Ended up using the restroom coming back, and then right as I was walking up the stairs is when Kansas City tied it. So kind of a deflating feeling there, and then Kansas City to score in the 119th minute plus 40 seconds. I mean, there was not going to be a whole lot of stoppage time in that, maybe a minute. I thought for sure we were headed to PKs. But I mean, Alan Polito is Alan Polito, and his yearly salary is probably more than the entire club of Union Omaha, like
Yeah.
combined. I'm talking everything, all in investment. So heartbreaking to lose in that fashion, but it shows. It's another one of those things that it shows that League One teams can compete with the best teams in the world. They might not win it, but they show that they belong on the pitch, and that can be said of every single League One team that played in the Open Cup. I think everybody in the league showed that this is not a joke league. It may be a third division league, but these teams come to compete and are able to. So just maybe not the longest run for third division sides, but definitely one that was well worth watching.
Yeah. That was, speaking from a Union Omaha's perspective, that's a night that they had been looking forward to since they started as a
Yeah.
club. And fans have been hoping and dreaming of with each entry into the Open Cup. And so for that finally to come to fruition and to see all the fans show up the way that they did, that looked like such a fun atmosphere.
It was fun. It was loud. A lot of Kansas City fans, which was to be expected, but also a lot of people wearing both Kansas City and Omaha gear. I wasn't a fan of it, and I was not. I actually took my scarf down that's behind me back there that I was trying to hide with my chair. And then I have a Kansas City flag in my garage that I also took down that night just as a, trying to jinx Kansas City into losing the match. But
Yeah.
I guess I just didn't do my rain dance around them enough to make that happen. So it's my fault. You guys heard it here first. It was my fault that Omaha did not beat Kansas City.
I love the photo of Owen after the final whistle. I don't know if you saw that. He posted on Twitter,
Oh, of him
but
laying on the ground.
exactly, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yep. So Owen is the PA guy in Omaha. Does a fantastic job each and every home match, and he posted on Twitter of him just lying face like ground, like right into the ground, up in the press box. Just complete exhaustion and heartbreak all captured into one single photo. It was so funny. That guy.
Yeah, he definitely got a voice workout towards the end of that because I think I want to say almost all, but I actually think every single one of Union Omaha's corners came in extra time, and it was in a short amount of time. Yeah, so he definitely got a voice workout doing the call outs for the Modelo chant, which
Well,
for
that
the
being said,
record, also every single Kansas City fan looked at us like we were nuts for screaming Modelo.
but at the same time, if all those corner kicks are happening, that's giving you a good vocal workout too.
Oh, I didn't have a voice yeah. If we would have tried to do a show the night after that, it would not have been possible because I had no voice after that.
One of my favorite photos from that entire night came from a photo that was taken right in front of Parliament, the supporter section, and there were these three, young teenager boys in the very front, like right up against the railing, and the passion that was on their face, and just oh my gosh, the celebrations they had during that first goal. When Pedro came over and jumped up on the barrier, just the look on their
Mm-hmm.
face was just so funny.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, though. These little moments that all of these League One teams have had. Um, man, it shows that kind of thing grows the sport and grows this league. So the more we see of it, the better it is. And honestly, we're seeing it more and more often now. I haven't checked the attendance figures in a little while, but the last time that I did, I think that had to have been 2 weeks or so ago. most of them are starting to trend up again. So weather's getting nicer. We're going to see more of this, and it's only going to get better from here, which is awesome as well.
Yeah. Um, Being in Greenville and I'm sorry, being in Charlotte and seeing the players heartbroken coming off the field against that one, having battled for 120 minutes against arguably the best team in USL Championship. I mean, there was a determination you saw in their eyes that they know that they can compete against some of the best clubs in USL, and they're ready to
Hmm.
start. They're ready to start turning some results. And I mean, it's going to be exciting to see how they start turning that stuff here in the regular season. We can start talking about some of the regular season too because we have week 9 starting tomorrow.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, we have two matches on tomorrow, two on Saturday, and one on Sunday.
Yeah.
So nobody plays more than once this week, and Lexington and Northern Colorado are both on bye weeks this week.
Yep.
So I
And
mean,
every match is going to be on ESPN Plus, and we are not getting any CBS Golazo Sports Network broadcast this week, so no confusion there.
yeah, it's sometimes a little bit confusing, but I mean that it is the price to pay when you do go on to a network like Golazo, which I think is going to do more good than harm in the future. So take a little bit of this frustration with trying to figure out how to get the matches on with a little grain of salt and realize that this is only a temporary thing of being frustrated trying to find it, and it will smooth out, and it's only good for the league to get many more eyes on it.
Yeah. And the first match of week 9 is going to be a rematch of a match we've already seen this season. This is a regular season finale already,
Mm-hmm.
week 9. And this is what we're seeing.
Yeah,
We have Charlotte hosting Union Omaha.
yeah. The last one they played, they battled to a draw. Rather not shockingly, because the past two times Charlotte has played Omaha, they've ended up in a draw. Charlotte won in PKs in the uh, semifinals, and in this last one, it was in Omaha and just was a draw. So a lot of stuff on the table. Charlotte's a good team. Omaha, we're gonna get to see what happens when Omaha faces a loss for the first time in what is it, 9 matches?
Well, first
Eight,
time since
eight
last year, wasn't
yeah,
it? Well, since if you take out Kansas City.
yeah. Um, so we'll have to see how they bounce back. We know what you're going to get from Charlotte. They're going to be consistent. They're going to play their game. Um, Omaha looked like they had some tired legs versus Spokane, and Spokane took advantage of that. So I would not be surprised to see Charlotte try to run and gun on Omaha and really test that rest out that they did get. So, and we know Charlotte is a team that can and will use the width of its pitch to their advantage. They did all season last season. It has not changed this season, and Omaha better be ready to defend some crosses into the box because Charlotte does that very very well.
Yeah. This is going to be an athletic match. There are some times where you can try to describe it as a technical match or some sort of a tactical match. This is going to be an athletic match.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte has a lot of athleticism on their side. Union Omaha also has a lot of athleticism on their side. This is going to be a battle. This is going to be an exciting one to watch.
Mm-hmm.
In 8 previous meetings, including playoffs, um, Charlotte has 3 wins, Union Omaha has 2 wins, and there have been 3 draws between the two sides.
Jeez.
After regulation, the past 2 matches between these two teams has been drawn at final time or full time. It wasn't until the semifinal of last season when Charlotte beat Union Omaha in penalty kicks. The last draw previous to that happened almost a year to the day from the matchup earlier this year, but it was a 0-0 draw in Charlotte last year, back in April.
Yeah. And I mean, this is league table as well. We have to also remember that it is no longer Jägermeister Cup weekend. So we are back to regularly scheduled league matches, which is nice.
And a key component of this matchup could easily boil down to the quality of the keepers on both sides. Charlotte, TJ Bush having a lot of success. He's ranked first in the league with saves per match. He's averaging 5 saves per match.
Mm-hmm.
And Rashid Nuhu is averaging 4 saves per match. And he's currently ranked third place in the league. So these are two very good goalkeepers being put in front of goal facing a high quality offense in their opposition. This is going to be this. I mean, you can talk about individual matchups and everything, but talking about TJ versus Union Omaha's offense and Rashid Nuhu versus Charlotte's offense, those are great matchups to talk about as well.
Yeah, these keepers are definitely going to shine in this one, or they're going to have to keep their teams in it because, as you said, Rich, these are two insanely high-powered offenses that are going to be able to move the ball well. So keepers and defenders are going to definitely have to be on their toes for this one.
Mhm.
Another interesting wrinkle in this as well is both of these teams are sitting second and third with 10 points. Omaha in 4 matches and Charlotte in 5 in league play. So
Yeah.
this is potential to go up there pending Greenville their result to even be tied for first place. If you take out the tiebreakers, just based solely on points, both of these teams, I mean, you're battling right there for it, which I think both of these teams are exactly where they thought they would be at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. Union Omaha has scored before halftime in their last 4 matches.
Oof.
And the match, that fifth match that was not included in that stat, was the last time they faced Charlotte. So there's a fun little wrinkle of drama there too.
Charlotte knows how to play Omaha, that's for sure.
Yeah. Union Omaha has also scored in the second half in each of their last 6 away matches.
Hmm.
So this could be, obviously, second half goals go a long way in helping to decide the full time score. But having combined with scoring in the first half of their last 4 and scoring in the second half in their last 6, that helps.
Definitely.
And we can't talk about Charlotte without talking about Obregon, because this guy is on
Oh,
fire, absolute fire. Um, he has scored in the last 3 home games for Charlotte, but even outside of the last 3 home games for Charlotte, this guy has been tearing it up in League One. He is a lot of fun to watch.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Charlotte is one of those teams where they don't come to your forefront of your mind when you're thinking of big names, big players, but they have them, and they have the capability, as we've seen last season and the beginning of this season. This is a team that plays well and plays well together. Again, I'll say it again. They're not the sexy pick, but man, the consistency is what wins titles. So they're definitely a team to watch out for.
All right, so all things considered, obviously you got a dog in this race.
I do.
You got a horse in this race. I don't know.
I have an owl in
who-
this race.
You got an owl. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's a good one. There you go.
Yeah, I can't go with the horse on this one, right? I have to go with the owl.
That's good. All right, who you got?
Oh, this one's tough, man. Omaha fans, don't be mad, but I think I have to take Charlotte in this one. I think they're gonna have the legs under them. Omaha's looked a little bit tired in that match with Spokane. I think it's not going to be a crazy high scoring affair, but in this one at home, I like Charlotte 1-0.
Mm, I was thinking about saying that.
Big thing too, Steven Dos Santos is a big question mark for Omaha.
Yes,
If
yes,
he isn't in, there is something about his size and his ability to draw defenders to him that is a key influence in Omaha's offense. So, uh,
yeah,
also seems like Omaha is still, I don't want to say trying to find themselves because they've been in good form, but I don't think they have much of an offensive identity right now. I think they have a lot of players that play well, but don't necessarily play perfectly together quite yet. And that is something that Charlotte also has on them. I think Charlotte's players are playing extremely well together. Um, yeah, so that's another reason that I think Charlotte just has the advantage in the early season on this one.
yeah. I think it's a good analysis. When I was in Omaha, obviously for our matchup, Tormenta versus Union Omaha, I was in the box with Tim, our buddy over at Renting Blue Penguin, and he showed me the replay of Dos Santos going down. I thought that was a career ender. I really, really did.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
But to hear some of the things that we have heard since then, I'm very happy to hear that it's not as bad as I originally thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it looked nasty. This was I had both the kids and my wife Taylor with me in this for that match, so we were sitting over on the opposite side from where I usually sit in my seat backs on the berm so the kids could run around, and that injury happened right in front of us, and like you said, I thought the same thing through my mind. I was like, "Oh, well, there goes our starting striker for the season at
Yeah,
least." So, great to hear that maybe it's a little bit less than we initially had thought, but still no solid word on him. And, Union Omaha being Union Omaha, we probably won't know until he's in the starting lineup. So
yeah. How was Star Wars night for you that night, by the way?
it was
We didn't get a chance to cross paths that night, but
no the
I'm sure it was
kids.
a huge night for you.
It was a fun time. So the kids got a couple pictures with some of the 501st Legion guys that were out there, which is always fun. They put so much time and money into their costumes that it just makes it all worth it for them, I'm sure. Um, but yeah, the kids did not grab jackets on the way out the door like they were told to, so it got a little chilly. So at halftime, we had to sneak out of there, but it was a good time. It's always a good time out there.
Cool. All right, so going back to this prediction, um, I got to take some risks because I feel like I haven't done the math to figure out where we're at in our prediction rankings and everything, but I have a feeling you're ahead of me. So I got to take a risk.
All right,
So I'm going to go Omaha 1-0.
right. For the record, I like your prediction better as a fan, but trying to be impartial and not bringing my bias into it. Yeah. I mean, I don't hate either pick, honestly. These two teams are so evenly matched. It seems like that it could go either way. But knowing these two squads, we're probably both wrong. It'll be like a 2-2 draw.
I don't ever see whenever we do these predictions, I don't ever want to predict a draw.
No, it's not fun to predict a draw. I'll
Yeah,
take the L and not predict a draw.
yeah. I'm glad you and I feel the same way because I'd rather take the L than predict a draw. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So we go from a Friday night match that has a ton of quite a bit of history and emotion behind it to a matchup that doesn't have a whole lot of history or emotion behind it. We have Central Valley Fuego hosting One Knox. In three previous matchups, One Knox has 2 wins and the two sides have a single draw. Fuego has not defeated One Knox
Mm-hmm.
at all yet.
Yeah. Um. Oh, where do we start in this one? Knoxville obviously is going to try to not give up 5 goals in this one. That does not seem to be the way to win matches, be it in league play or in cup play. So uh, definitely trying not to give up 5. I don't think they're going to have to try that hard to not give up 5 goals to Fuego. Unfortunately, Fuego just they started that first match and looked terrific, and it just has not been the case for them for the rest of these matches. I mean, if you look at their form, they have 6 games played, 1 win, 5 losses, and 0 draws, sitting on a -8 goal differential. Painful. I mean, that is the worst goal differential in the league right now. Sitting in 11th place, whereas Knoxville is sitting in 4th place on 10 points with a +3 goal differential. It does not bode well for Fuego in this one. I think Fuego has the parts to get it done, but it's piecing those things together. I think there's, much like Omaha, Fuego has just not melded their talent completely together yet. Do I think Fuego is going to be a playoff team come that time? I still don't, but I think they can build on momentum that they had last season and will do better. But in this one, I mean, I just think Knoxville is just too polished of a team. I mean, defensively, Knoxville is solid, with the outlier being last week, obviously. But they just have too much, man. I like Knoxville in this one. I don't think it's going to be pretty. So I got to take Knoxville 3-1 in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to side with you on this one. I think this one, I don't think this one's going to be very pretty. Fuego at home has played 4 matches and lost every single one of them
Oof.
with a goal differential of -8.
Ooh.
And One Knox on the road has played 2 matches and they are undefeated with a single win and a single draw. Um, and every single time we talk about Fuego, we always bring up this stat, but they have failed to keep a clean sheet at home in their last 21 matches.
Yeah, that ain't going to get it done, man.
Yeah. Zahir Vasquez has scored a third of their goals this season. So, I mean, if you eliminate Vasquez from their offense, you're taking away a potent goal scorer for Fuego, one whom they have obviously relied on. Um, let's see here. Trying to see if I can find any good One Knox stats. Everything seems to be. I think isn't Fuego? Yeah, Fuego has conceded the most penalties this season. Now, granted, we're at week 9 and they've only conceded 2, but still, if you're conceding 2 penalties in 4 home matches, that doesn't bode well
Yes.
either.
No, that definitely doesn't. I mean, I don't want to say we know what we're going to get from both of these teams. I feel like that's a little unfair to Fuego. It's tough. I mean, with a coaching change and everything that's going on, that was going on with Fuego, they're kind of fighting an uphill battle, and it's kind of getting the best of them.
Yeah.
And Knoxville just is one of those teams that just chugs along, man. I mean,
Yeah.
their last 3 matches. No, not even their last 3. Their first 3 matches were all wins, but I just think they have too much in the tank. Too good of a defense, too good of an offense. It's tough.
I agree. So I'm going to stop reading off stats because I don't want for any and all of the Fuego fans that are out there listening, I don't want to continue making them angry and everything. So you had one Knox 3-1 in this one.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna say I'll go one Knox. I'll say 2-0.
I feel like that's fair. We agree on the score line,
Yeah,
the goal differential, just not how it happens. So
yeah, exactly. All right, so then we start getting into Saturday matches. First up is Richmond hosting Greenville. This is a fun one. Two League One founders going head to head.
yeah, um, a Richmond team that is looking better now. Um, they're not quite the last place team as I predicted them. As a matter of fact, they're the last team above the playoff line as it sits right now. But they're also going up against the number one team in the table right now, and a Greenville Triumph team that is coasting. They Rick Wright has these guys locked in and laser focused. I mean, uh, I don't even know what else you can really say about them. I mean, Greenville has been playing terrific soccer recently. Um, that being said, the Richmond Kickers have also been playing a lot better recently, and this is not a team that is going to have any die in their vocabulary, because this team has the star power to be top of the table. It's what they do with it and their coaching, which I still feel like there's something in that locker room that's not melding. Maybe they're getting it figured out now because they have looked a lot better. But it's definitely something to look out for. And these teams are not similar on the pitch, but similar in I would say their tact during the game. These players on both sides play really, really hard, and show a lot of technical expertise when they play. So if nothing else, this match is going to be fun to watch if you are a fan of really precise soccer movements on the pitch.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good matchup. Like you said, Greenville is just they're operating on a different level than people right now. Liam McKinnon has 6 goals. I think 4 of them came against us here in Tormenta. I think Liam McKinnon had a hat trick against Tormenta when they came here to town. And then I think he had one in the Jägermeister Cup, but Jamie Smith had the other 2 in that match. Okay, so that brings up a point here with Greenville's offense. You try to take Liam McKinnon out of their offense, Jamie Smith steps up. You take
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Smith out of their offense, Leo Castro steps up. I mean, you can even go with some of the guys who don't have as many goals as the names I just listed with Evan Lee, Zion Scarlett, Ben Zakowski. These are guys who can step up um, and contribute just as much as the next guy. We haven't even started talking about Chapa Herrera. That is a guy that people should be talking about more from this team. Same with Zion Scarlett. Those guys can play and they are fun
Mm-hmm.
to watch. Um, Greenville is a thoroughly entertaining club to watch play. And um, as much as you want to hate them for the results they're putting on the field, when you talk to them when outside of the whistle, they are such nice, humble, down to earth people. Talking to Rick Wright, just such a genuinely nice guy. His assistant coaches, all like they took time to have a quick chat with me when they were here in town too. The players were all very humble when talking to them after the match as well. Like this is an organization that is being run in the correct way, and um, as much as you want to hate on them for the results they're putting on the field, it's tough to hate them outside of the field to play. These are good guys. Richmond, man, they were a lot of fun to watch too. You could see So when I went up to Richmond to watch Tormenta play Richmond, you could see since it was like their home opener at that point, so still very early in the season. Um, you could still see that there were some things they were trying to do that they couldn't quite tighten, the bolts to get there in time for the match and everything. But you could tell that there was a lot of potential for the way that they were hoping to go in the direction they wanted to go. And I think that is going to be the most exciting thing for this one because I feel like it's not out of the question to say that Greenville is the favorite for this match. But to see how Richmond is able to adjust and to level up their play when they go against Greenville, I think that is probably for me the most intriguing storyline here because as I've been talking about Richmond, I keep talking about their potential, where they can go, where the direction they're going. We know where Greenville's going. We know what they have to offer. Richmond, like you said, still trying to figure them out. But with the potential they have to be going up against a club like Greenville this weekend, perfect. Love it because I want to see how Richmond does against a team like Greenville. And I also love the fact that they're playing them. Is this one? Ooh, let me go back to the outline.
in
Yeah,
Richmond.
so they're playing in City Stadium.
Hmm.
Even better. Like that place is going to be packed. The hate's going to be pouring onto that field. Greenville's going to feel the pressure. So Greenville's going to have to overcome that. Richmond's going to have undeniable support from their fans in City Stadium that night. Like the elements are right there for the taking. This is going to be such a good one to watch. So, City Stadium is going to be a fun place to be on Saturday night.
Yeah. And I think City Stadium is going to be a lot more fun of a place after Richmond takes down Greenville 2-1.
Ooh,
I
okay.
think this is Richmond's get right game, and I think Richmond puts it all together and figures it out in this one and takes down the top of the table Greenville.
Is that a little double meaning in the get right?
uh, let's say yes. It wasn't intended, but let's say it was.
All right, so you have Richmond 2-1 home victory. I'm gonna take Greenville, and I'm gonna say 2-0. Yeah.
I mean, that's fair with what Richmond has kind of shown us and what Greenville has shown us this season. I don't hate on that one, but I really do feel like Richmond is going to figure it out eventually. And what better time than against the top of the table team? In a night match in City Stadium in front of your fans. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the weather real quick.
While you're doing that, decided to pull up some. So we talked a lot about the storylines. We didn't really talk about much in the way of the stats for this match.
Mhm.
But looking at this, Greenville is tied with Fuego in conceding 2 penalties this season. And they've also been awarded the most penalties this season. They've been awarded 4 penalties this season.
It's going to be raining in City Stadium potentially during
Ooh.
this match. So look for that as
So
well.
it's going to
I
be a fast ball. It's going to be a fast game. Who's got more speed, Richmond or Greenville?
I think Greenville has more speed, but I
Yeah,
think Richmond is better suited for a battle in the elements.
yeah.
I think the guys on Richmond's squad, they have a lot of veteran guys. They have a lot of guys that are, I don't think junkyard dog is the correct term for what I'm looking for, but a lot of scrappers out there in Richmond, and I think those guys are going to play hard. And I think Greenville is going to be hurting the next day.
Okay, all right. It's not a very far drive from Richmond to Greenville, but you're saying it'll be a tough drive home, anyways.
I'm saying a tough drive home. I think they're not going to want to watch the tape after this one.
Okay, All right. All right. So the other Saturday night match is comes away of Tormenta hosting Chattanooga. Um, so obviously I cannot throw my prediction in here, but we can still talk about it. Excuse me.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh man, what do you say about this one? I think Tormenta this season has shown both sides of the coin. I think they've shown when they're really good, when they're playing really well, they can be really good. When they're not playing so well, I don't want to say mentally fragile, but it seems like one mistake turns into two mistakes, turns into three mistakes, and in the case of Omaha, turns into four mistakes. Um, that seems to be their biggest thing. And Chattanooga's biggest issue is just what is this team? I don't think this team has an identity. I don't think they have the thing figured out that they do really well. Um, Tormenta, you see it with Tormenta. Their thing is we're going to outwork you and we're going to outthink you. Chattanooga, a lot of the time this season, it just they've been out there. I mean, you look at what they've done in the season so far. They have a win, a loss, and a draw. They're sitting on 4 points. That is just kind of what they are. You don't know what you're going to get out of them. Um, and I think against a team like Tormenta, especially at Tormenta, it's not going to be one that you're going to be able to just kind of come in and play whatever ball and come out with a victory. Tormenta is a very well coached team that isn't going to let you just come in and just nonchalantly get a W. You have to be pretty precise and pretty thought out with if you're going to beat Tormenta, which I just don't think Chattanooga has quite yet. I'm still high on them. They have the pieces to be a very good team. They just need to figure out exactly how they want to play and what the best course of action is with the players that they have. Oh, but this I'm not super confident that can be done this week against Tormenta.
So looking at Chattanooga, they have played 3 regular season matches.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to see here. Let me go over here instead. Um, when you look at Chattanooga's offense, they heavily favor Rupapa Mensah.
Mm-hmm.
Deservedly so. I mean, he's a great player
Oh yeah.
and he's churning out results for
Mm-hmm. But as
him.
best as he can, yeah.
Yeah, as best he can. All in all, in the regular season, Chattanooga has scored 5 goals in 3 regular season matches. They were held scoreless against Lexington. They scored 4 against Central Valley, and they scored 1 against Northern Colorado.
A little deceiving.
Yeah.
That
And
five
in those
goals is
matches,
deceiving when you have four in one match.
let me see, because I want to, let's see. So 1 knocks, those must have been, okay, so Rapapa Mensah has 4 goals scored so far this season. I want to see if those are regular season or if those are cup. What's
Mm-hmm.
going on there? But nonetheless, he, if you look at him in all competitions, Rapapa Mensah has 4 goals. Lucas Coutinho has 1. Nobody else on the team has a single goal. So, like you were saying, we don't really know what we're getting from them. on top of the fact that we haven't seen them play a whole lot.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're still trying to figure out what's going on in Chattanooga. But when you look at Chattanooga versus Tormenta, they have played a total of 14 matches between them, if you include playoff matches. In those 14, Tormenta has won half of them with 7 wins. Chattanooga has won 4, and they've had 3 draws. And I'm so glad that you talked about Tormenta outworking their opponents, because when you look at the teams that Tormenta is playing and everything, they have played teams that have a clear identity. You know what you're going to get when you go to play against a Greenville versus a Richmond versus a Union Omaha. When you go up against, when you look at Chattanooga, there's not as much of an identity. So if you go in with a team that is going to outwork your opponent, I feel a whole lot more comfortable going into a match um, with that level of preparation rather than focusing on the fact that you don't know a whole lot about their identity. Um, and I totally agree with you. I think that Tormenta is a very well coached team. Ian Cameron does a fantastic job drawing up tactics and game plans and making adjustments. We've seen a lot of substitutions come off the bench and have an immediate impact into the match, whether it's on the scoreboard or just in the level of play. You know, inserting that, it's sort of a cliche saying, but like injecting that energy coming off the bench. So I obviously I can't predict this one. I'll leave that one to you. But needless to say, I feel good about this one. This one is an
Mhm.
interesting matchup just because of the things we've just discussed. But I still feel good about Tormenta's chances heading into it.
Yeah, and Luke Martin brings up a good point in the chat as well. It says for the Tormenta game with rain in the forecast, does a wet game affect one team more than the other? I don't I don't know that I would say it's going to affect one team more than the other. But weather is a great equalizer as well. So that being said, bad weather could make this match a little more close than it would have otherwise been. Um, and that's kind of been the thing. I mean, rain and bad weather generally tends to help out teams with a little less. I don't want to say talent because that sounds a little bit like I'm poo-pooing down on a team's talent level, which isn't necessarily the case. But a team that is perceived as less talented or as not as polished, um, the rain can hide a whole lot of those inconsistencies with the other more polished quote unquote team. So um, I think this one's going to be a lot closer than I would have guessed had I not known it was going to rain. I probably would have taken Tormenta by a couple goals. But this one, I'm going to give the edge to Tormenta, but I think it's going to be a close 3-2 match.
Wow. Okay. 3-2. Nice.
3-2 Tormenta.
Um,
I think. I mean, you're not going to be able to stop Mensa. No team is going to be able to stop Mensa for the most part, right? That is the key to beating Chattanooga, but I think it's more of a limit him as opposed to shut him down kind of thing. So,
yeah.
and I think Tormenta is going to be able to do that.
And you talked about how things are going to have to. There's going to be adjustments involved when you start thinking about weather and all that kind of stuff. It's not uncommon for matches impacted by heavy weather to start drawing in some colorful cards into the match. Harsh tackles, physical challenges, slide tackles. 9 of the last 10 games between Tormenta and Chattanooga have seen 4 or more cards.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
Um,
Oh, and I also wanted to bring up too that if you look at Chattanooga's 3 matches that they've played, Chattanooga's currently sitting in 10th place. The first match that they played, they lost against Lexington. Lexington is sitting in 9th place right now. Their win was against Central Valley Fuego, who is sitting in 11th place. And their draw is against the Northern Colorado Hailstorm, which are sitting in 12th place. Chattanooga has not played a team in the top half of the table yet. They still won't after this match because Tormenta's sitting in 7th place. But I guess the correct way I should have stated that was they have not played a team above the playoff line yet this season. So this
that's
is
a
going to
good
be
observation right there.
this is going to be a gut check moment for Chattanooga. Let's see what they can do against a team that's above the playoff line, because they've played the 3 other teams below the playoff line besides themselves, and they've got every result you could have gotten so far. So, yeah, I don't think they come out on top of this one though. It's a little too tough for them.
That was a good observation. I really like that.
Thank you.
All right, so now we can finish. Well, that's. Oh, so you said Tormenta 3-2.
3-2. Yep.
3-2. All right, so our last match of week 9 is Spokane hosting Forward Madison. I think this is going to be their first matchup, isn't it? Yeah, first matchup.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. This is obviously going to be on ESPN. ESPN2. ESPN2. Um, it is. It's a tough one to try to sit here and figure out, because Spokane is a team where they're kind of a roller coaster. Parts of matches they'll look really good. Parts of matches you'll see them short legging passes and doing stuff like that. And it's kind of the same with Madison. These two teams are very similar, very hard nosed. Aggressive isn't the correct term. Hardworking teams. These two teams will be physical and do it very, very well. And I think that is something that you're going to have to look out for, and potentially some card issues I have a feeling are coming up in this one. These teams right next to each other in the standings too. 5th place for Spokane and 6th place for Madison. Both of them playing relatively well right now. I don't have a strong feeling either way. I feel like if this is a defensive battle, I think Spokane is a little bit better equipped to defend and win a defensive game than Madison is. But if it's going to be a come out and shootout, I think Madison has it. So it's a battle of 2 philosophies, it seems like, but a very, very physical battle I see coming up.
I think you're right on that one. Just from the style of play that we've seen from Spokane so far, they are a team that's not going to go down without a fight, which plays right into the mentality of Ford Madison. You look at the teams on an individual basis, you look at them as a collective unit. Ford Madison is a physical group. They are a team that's going to bring the fight every single match, and combine those 2 factors from both sides of the field. This one's going to have some fireworks.
I think so. I have a really tough time trying to pick this one. But I really feel like with how physical it's going to be, it's going to turn into a defensive battle. and I really feel like Spokane has the edge in that. I've got to take Spokane 1-0.
I think I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say Ford Madison 1-0. Not just to be contrarian, but
I mean, it's fair. If
yeah.
I mean, it's really a toss up for me on this one because if you look back at some of Madison's 2 wins on the season, one was Central Valley Fuego, the other was Greenville Triumph. So also a 2-2 draw with the Kickers, a 0-0 draw with Greenville, and a 1-1 draw with South Georgia. So you turn around, then you look at Spokane. They've got a win against Kickers, NoCo, and the Kickers again. So with a loss against Lexington or a draw with Lexington and a loss to Charlotte. So man, both teams quality, some quality wins. It's I think physicality is the name of the game on this one, so I think they picked a good one to throw on national TV.
Yeah. Um, yeah. All right. So that rounds out our week 9 previews. You want to go through our fan questions really quick?
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes or so.
Cool. All
Well, I
right.
think we're over, but
Are
we'll
we?
we'll say we'll keep it at 10 minutes.
Cool. All right.
I think we got a
So this
couple.
first one comes from Luke Martin. You can find him on Twitter at Luke R. Martin. He said, "Have you noticed any differences in styles of play in Jägermeister Cup games compared to regular season league games?" I think we touched on that a little bit earlier.
Yeah,
Um,
teams are going for it, man.
yeah,
A little bit. I mean, with this last week of some of the shots that were getting sent off, oh yeah, I think teams are letting it fly, and I think it's doing exactly what the league wanted it to do. It's fun to watch.
yeah. And we had another question from Brandon. You can find him on Twitter at Brandon-esque. He asked a question about Antelope Valley's new hire. But I think you and I touched on that a little bit earlier too, because we don't really know a whole lot about him.
Mhm.
So we can't really pass judgment in that direction.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to really dig into anything about him honestly. So
Yeah,
looking forward to doing it, but
exactly. Yeah.
not not quite there yet.
Let's see here. There we go. Here's the other post that we had. We had a question from Tim over at Ranting Blue Penguin. You can find him on Twitter at RB Penguin Media. His question is also about the Jaeger Cup. He says, 2 rounds of the Jaeger Cup in. Do you think it's having the effect that the league was expecting when they rolled it out?
Yep, definitely do. I think you're seeing it a little bit higher flying. Higher flying as in like more chances taken, more crazy ass shots, and a little bit more chaos. I mean, you saw the best of both worlds in the past 2 weeks. You saw almost exclusively matches going to penalty shootouts last week, and only one going this week, and teams winning outright. So
Yeah.
we've seen it all so far, which is, I mean, that's probably the greatest thing that could happen for it.
Yeah. The only thing that I don't think the league was expecting when they rolled it out was the amount of draws going into that turned into penalty kicks. We've seen a lot of matches go to penalty kicks, and with as much as Brian was just talking about with the shots on goal and trying different things and new things and all that, maybe the league was hoping for more goals to have been scored at this point, but at the same time, it still adds a whole new wrinkle of drama into the mix if you you have teams going for penalty kicks instead. They were banking on one style of drama and they got another style instead.
Mhm.
And that's okay,
Yeah.
because even if the teams are trying something new with their approach to the cup when they go out to play on the pitch, the league is also trying something new here too.
Mhm.
And so we have to keep that in mind as we talk about the Jaeger Cup. So this is a new thing for everybody involved, even for fans, because most of the time we're used to seeing a draw and then going home,
Mhm.
or we're used to watching soccer matches on TV, and after a draw, you would go to 2 periods of extra time. Well, we go straight to PKs.
Yep.
So there's a ton of adjustment to be made here with USL headquarters, with the teams playing on the pitch, with fans in the stands. So I think it's been a great experience so far for the league, for
Mhm.
club, for everybody involved. Um, but to answer Tim's question, I still think that the league was hoping for more goals to have been scored at this point.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good take, but I also think that there's something to be said about going to penalties as well because you get to see some of this. I mean, some of the biggest players in this league are goalkeepers, and they've stepped up big in some of these penalty shootouts. And I know not to be too much of a homer, but I mean, you look at Union Omaha's backup goalie, saved 3 in their first match. I mean, that's a backup coming in and doing that, and it showcases the depth of this league as well. I mean, you have a top class League One keeper in Rashid Nuhu, and then Lapsley behind him, who at this rate I think has a higher penalty save percentage than Rashid Nuhu does. So, I mean, probably faced about the same amount of penalty shots at this point too. So, just crazy. I think that's something that the league didn't foresee happening, but kind of a happy accident as well of going straight to shootouts. And
Yeah.
another thing you see too is they're not okay with taking a point and going to PKs for the extra point. Teams are playing hard for the entire, let's call it 98 minutes roughly for a whole match. You see them still going for that final dagger goal right before you go to PKs, even though they know they can get an extra point with PKs. But um, yeah, I think it's overall for me, I've been thoroughly entertained with the Jägermeister Cup so far.
Yeah, I love the fact that you drew attention away from the fact that one of the facets we always talk about when we talk about Jägermeister Cup is the fact that we go straight to PKs, or we talk about um, the first differentiator outside of the three group winners is the one who scores the most goals. You decide to shed some light on something that pretty much no one has really talked about at all when it comes to the Jägermeister Cup, and that's showing some love for the goalkeepers.
Mhm.
I mean, we truly do have some great goalkeepers in the league, and as you said, to see them on full display going up against some of the best uh, players in League One, I mean that's another win for the league as well.
Mhm.
So that's a great point. I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, and I mean it's not even just in PKs. Like I know I talked about it earlier, but I mean all the shots and the amazing saves that happened in that Chattanooga Richmond match from this last week. I mean, geez, man, you're going to see a ton of shots on goal because guys are trying to score. Now you're going to see a lot of amazing saves, which to me is almost more fun than seeing some of those spectacular goals. I mean, you see a keeper in full stretch to keep out a shot going to the top bin. I mean, to me personally, it doesn't get any better than that. I'd
Yeah,
take that over top bin goals every day.
yeah. All right, our last question of the episode comes from Geo. You can find him on Twitter at GeoCanius10. Less of a question, more of a statement. How does one become handsome like Rich? I have no idea, and I had no idea until we hugged. Well, okay. Um, I can answer the question, but the statement, or I can. Oh man, I'm butchering this one, but nonetheless, seeing Gio in person was absolutely awesome. I was hoping to see Brandon that same night too, but I think he left the stadium right after the full time whistle to go celebrate with everybody. That was a big win for them, so I'm happy for him. But obviously, with Gio being a member of their front office, I got to stick around and chat with him on the field after the match, and it's great to see him. Great to see him. He gives good hugs too. I'll say that. If you're if you get to see Gio and you get a hug from him, that's a good hug.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it,
It-
man.
It's it's so fun being able to go to all these away matches because I got to see Alex and Elliot in Richmond. I get to see Geo in Greenville. I want to see Brandon next time I'm in Greenville, or if they're able to make it down here to Statesboro. I got to see everybody back in Omaha when I was at that match. Just being able to go to these away matches and to see, all of the friends that we have, it's just it's truly something special. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I honestly think one of the best things about this league is the community around it, and not even just the like the content creator um, community, but just anybody who has a presence online, interacts with whether it be our show, somebody else's show, or the teams. I mean, you see these same people pop up everywhere. I mean, this league has such amazing diehard fans that
Mhm.
you can't go anywhere for an away day and not be recognized by somebody. If your Twitter profile has your picture on it, somebody is going to see you and recognize you and want to talk and hang out with you, even if you're on rooting for the opposing team. So it is. I think that's one of the things that does get kind of spoken about this league, but I don't think we highlight enough just how great this community is.
Yeah. Even as a neutral fan traveling to Madison to go see the Henny Derby, I mean, Rob took time out of his busy schedule, both, with his day job and then writing and doing coverage for Talking Flock to go for drinks. And Kyle invited me to the Ford Madison tailgate. I tried to make it there in time, but I couldn't squeeze it in. But just having them open their arms and to invite me to things that were specific to their club. I mean, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
To be embraced like that. That's awesome. I figured if if I was going to a city and they were having like a club specific thing that I would give them that space to allow them to have the proper celebrations with their uh, their fellow friends and all that kind of stuff. Because I certainly wouldn't want to encroach on any of the celebrations they were having, but for them to actively invite me to be a part of it, that's cool, man. That speaks to a lot of the culture that you were just talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the questions. You got anything?
I got nothing, and we hit our 10-minute goal too. So woohoo!
Yeah.
Maybe that month off. Now we're finally hitting our timelines. Is
There
this
we
gonna
go.
be? This will not be a regular thing. I think
This will not
everybody,
be right.
the regular listeners, are like, dude, no, it's not. Stop. You guys got lucky.
All right. Well, that's another episode of League One. Oh, speaking of, so think about next season when we have 19 clubs and the amount of time that we want to talk just about the 12 that we have right now.
Yeah, yeah. There's gonna be some off season talks.
Imagine the amount of things they want to talk about over at the USL show with all the USL championship teams,
Oh Lord,
but they can't do all that coverage. Yeah.
I can't. No, I can't imagine it. It
Yeah.
it. We're just, what's gonna have to happen. We're just gonna have to get a nightly show on like Galazzo Network or something. They're just gonna have to give it to us, and then we could talk about all 19 teams in depth.
I'd be all over that. That'd be so much fun.
We'll get a
All
setup
right.
too. We'll have two chairs. It'll be cool.
Yes. Yes. All right, everybody. Welcome. Or I'm sorry. Thank you for tuning in into another episode of League One on the Rocks. My name is Rich. You can find me on Twitter at I'm Rich, but I'm not. That is Brian. You can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace. we will be bringing more League One coverage to you next week, and we'll be putting stuff out there on Twitter and social media for the polls and all that kind of stuff. So keep an eye out.
Thanks, guys.